Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 16 of the Hungry People podcast. It is your boy, Michael Patrick Buckley, and unfortunately, I am not here with my co-host, Mr. AJ Dyka. He's not able to be here with us today, but I do have a special guest with us, Collin Dees. I went to college with Collin, and I'm so excited and so happy to have him here. Collin, what's up, dude?
I just want to say thanks for having me on. I've been excited to have this talk for a little while now. I know we've been going back and forth in the Twitter DMs and
Yeah, no doubt.
pick a date, and it's finally here. I think we both have a lot to say, and we want to pick each other's brains a little bit.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. It's been great connecting with you and seeing what you had to say. And yeah, like you said, I'm really excited to be here. And definitely for today's format, I definitely just want to go back and forth and discuss a bunch of topics and talk with each other and see what we have to say. So, so I just want to start it. Where are you from? And I know that you went to PA school, and I would love to hear you talk about some of the schooling that you went through and what you're doing now.
So I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I found Seton Hill because back in high school, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I was between a couple different things. I had thought I wanted to be a doctor, an MD, but at the time, my brother had a girlfriend who was a PA, and I had never heard of it, but she started telling me a little bit about it, and I was like, okay, that sounds pretty good, because I wasn't dead set on being a doctor, and that's something you should be dead set on because you went to school for a long time.
Right.
So yeah, I looked into the PA thing a little bit more, and Seton Hill had a 5-year accelerated program.
And I know that that Seton Hill's PA program it's pretty well known too. It's a pretty good program.
Yeah, it's legit. High passing scores on the boards and stuff. So yeah, and also they had a Division II wrestling program, so that kind of helped out. I got a little bit of scholarship for that.
Nice.
And so went out to Seton Hill. And the first 2.5 years is the undergraduate portion. And it's kind of no fluff. You get right into the hard sciences.
Right.
Then after those 2.5 years, you do another 2.5, which is the graduate portion. So after the first 2.5, technically I had my bachelor's, but you don't graduate.
Right.
You get both of them at the end.
Okay.
So yeah, then during those next 2.5 years of the graduate portion was intense didactic classroom component, and also the clinicals. So yeah, I graduated in May 2019, moved back home to Cleveland, and I've been working for 2 years now as a PA, trying to find my niche. Yeah.
That's great, man. That's great. How do you like being a PA? Is it exactly what you wanted? Is it exactly what you expected?
So I remember during my clinical rotations, I was really questioning if it was the right field for me, because I remember doing 2 primary care rotations back to back, and both of them were very similar. And I won't say everyone had this experience. I'm sure there was a lot of good preceptors, doctors out there that people had good experiences with, but for me, it felt like we were just putting a bandaid on symptoms. We weren't really helping people.
Right.
It was you'd see a patient for 8 minutes, and then you'd give them a steroid or an antibiotic, push them out the door.
Right.
See the next person. It was just this.
Yeah.
Cycle,
Right.
There's no healing.
Yeah, and there's no personal connection, I feel like, too. Especially if you don't have that much time with them.
Yeah, and then same thing in the emergency department. You're seeing a lot of the people there drug seeking, or a lot of the problems you don't really follow up on. So you don't know if this patient got better. You don't know if they followed what you told them to do. It's just really they're so overloaded, that they were just trying to get people out the door.
Right.
So I started kind of being I don't know, this isn't very fulfilling to me. I'm not loving this work. So then I had an interest in nutrition and root cause kind of things.
Right.
Healing from preventing things rather than using a pill to suppress something.
Totally.
And I think I thought it a little bit differently than my colleagues in that sense. And so before I graduated, I started looking at jobs in functional medicine, integrative medicine.
Oh, wow.
And a lot of them were just telling me, you have no experience and you don't have any sort of certifications, because there's like separate certifications you can get for that kind of thing.
Oh, wow. So even if you do have a PA degree, like they still won't even sort of accept that?
Unless you like really know somebody, yeah, because a lot of it is self-taught, if that makes sense, because there's no curriculum for it. There's no curriculum for it in PA school. PA school is like symptom pill based. So like give a pill for a symptom.
Right.
And so didn't find a job in any of that. So I mean, but bills needed paid, right? So I took a job in surgery. But ever since I've been working, I still just have had this itch to get out of normal medicine, I guess you could say.
Right.
And I've been doing a lot of looking, a lot of networking, researching on my own, going to these different conferences, and
nice.
Trying to grow my knowledge in root cause medicine.
Nice. That's sweet.
And finally found something that stuck. So yeah.
Good for you, man. Yeah, that's exciting. And I know that there's definitely a fine line drawn, at least with myself, with like just not trusting, but just going to the doctors and getting a pill, and then actually using lifestyle and food to really prevent what it is, And I know there's some people out there who like use statins, like they show great benefits and stuff, but there's other people where it's like, hey, you can just change your diet, you can change your lifestyle, get some more sleep, stop stressing yourself out so much, move your body a little bit, and you can figure out your issues. You can heal from whatever you're healing from. Even though there are some extreme issues out there, but yeah, there's like just even on my social media pages, I don't like to just totally shun doctors because they have such a benefit, and like I said, there's a fine line, and we need them. And I think modern medicine has came such a long way. And it can be so helpful in some ways, and especially with emergency medicine. I mean, we need that. Like if you get into a car accident, you break your leg, whatever, someone gets shot, we need that ASAP, So there's definitely time and places where modern medicine is crucial and comes in handy when we need it. But I feel like there's just so many lifestyle, quote unquote, lifestyle diseases out there that can be fixed by changing your lifestyle and your diet rather than just going and, like you're saying, suppressing the symptoms that you're dealing with, So
yeah. And to go off of what you're saying, with modern medicine, I think our country is probably the best in the world when it comes to acute care medicine. So if you get in a car accident, you break your leg and you have a splenic laceration, there's no place better in the world to be than here, because the ED is going to take care of you. Then you're going to go to see surgeons who are the best in the world. You're going to be fine. Our chronic disease care in this country is close to the worst in the world, and it's not at the fault of medicine per se or the doctor.
It's just the system. It's the system. It's the system.
It is, exactly. It's the big food, big pharma, insurance model that is just really putting medicine in a really bad place right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. And I mean, we all want to make money, right? So, but
and another thing is these doctors, like, I can get mad at the system a lot and say, oh, this doctor needs to change his ways. But a lot of them, most of them, all of them probably go into the field with good intentions. They want to help people.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not their fault that the curriculum or the system is messed up.
Yeah,
I wanted to say that. I don't want people to think I hate doctors.
Oh, no, totally.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Totally. And all of them are knowledgeable, so knowledgeable. They have so much to offer us too. But yeah, those conferences that you were going to, that sounds pretty cool. What kind of conferences were they? You said were they like functional medicine conferences?
Yeah, so I went to two. One was a functional medicine conference. It's the IFM, the Institute for Functional Medicine, which is like functional medicine, and I guess you could say like alternative medicine. there's so many different routes you can take with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's like Chinese medicine, there's like chiropractic, functional medicine, and then there's like integrative medicine. There's all kinds of like different niches and realms. Functional medicine, and I kind of feel like encompasses all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the Institute of Functional Medicine is the most standardized like organization of all of it. So if you get a certification from them, you will probably get a job in a functional medicine practice.
Nice.
So I went, I did the conference, I learned a ton, but I just didn't really put it into practice. I did get an offer from a practice kind of close to where I live, but it was right at the beginning of COVID.
Oh, wow.
And I was just like, well, and it was weird because I had like a base salary and then a bonus based on how the practice was doing.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time I was like, I can't put all my eggs into this, because if the practice goes down, then I go down.
Right.
So I stayed safe, and I mean, luckily I didn't take it because I found something that was much better fit. But
nice.
Yeah, so I didn't get to use that. Then recently in April, I went to a bioidentical hormone replacement therapy conference, which right now is like, it's my thing. Like this is what
That's
I was
sweet.
meant to do.
Yeah.
It's my passion.
That's
I
sweet,
love
dude.
hormones. I love hormones dictate so much in our body. And if you're optimized hormonally, it's pretty hard to have health problems.
Right.
And I learned so much at this conference. I learned a lot about how our medical system is just not treating hormonal problems the right way.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I learned a lot there, and that opened a lot of doors recently for me.
That's great, dude. That's great. Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of people recently talking about that, how hormones play such a big role, and how sometimes we don't even know what's going on in our body. But it could be, a lot of it could be hormonal issues. But I guess for a lot of that, we'd have to get tested to really see. But even still,
yeah, I mean, there's symptoms and stuff you can go off of.
Right.
Mostly, yeah, you got to get tested.
Right. Cool. Yeah. So let's start talking about a little about your diet. And I definitely want to get into like the hormonal stuff and the hormones.
Mm-hmm.
I think along the way that'll come back up. But yeah, I wanted to talk about your diet and how you came across it, and what you prefer to eat on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. So my diet has been crafted over years and years of experimentation. So like
that's good. And I'm sure you're still experimenting. You know, I'm sure it's like
always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
So back in high school, when I first had to start cutting weight for wrestling, seriously. Before then, I was just eating like a normal kid, I guess you could say.
Right.
My stepdad, he was a bodybuilder in the past, and so he had a lot of knowledge on diet and nutrition. So he was putting me on like kind of like a bodybuilder type diet.
Yeah.
Lower fat, like vegetables, kind of like broccoli, chicken, rice.
Right.
But for me, that was the first realization I had that, wow, diet makes a big difference in performance, in how your physique looks, how good you feel, just all areas. And to me, that was like the start of all of it for me, all of this like health journey kind of thing. So then over the years through wrestling, I was trying to optimize and find what diet worked best for me. And I've tried everything. Like I've tried keto, I've done South Beach, like paleo. I've done everything. I've done every diet under the sun. I did the counting your macros thing, like on MyFitnessPal.
Yeah, right.
All of that stuff. And so then last year, right around this time, actually, I was not feeling good. My health was it was just not great. I was just not feeling well in a lot of areas. And I was listening a lot to like Ben Greenfield. And I think at one point he was like, hey, I'm going to start the carnivore diet. And I was like, okay. And
Yeah.
then, so I started listening to Paul Saladino.
Okay.
And I was like, honestly, a lot of like my problems sound like they could be fixed by this thing.
Right.
So I started doing it, and I was very strict with it for like a month.
Mm-hmm.
So strict carnivore, like only meat.
So
and
only
a lot.
were you doing
Like
salt, just only meat?
Yeah, I mean, I was like salting my food and stuff, but
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty much only meat. I felt great. A lot of like my skin cleared up. I had more energy. And so then I started reintroducing foods. So I almost treated it like an elimination diet.
Right.
For me, was like, it was perfect because I started reintroducing foods, and I'd be like, okay, that food does not work well for me.
Right.
This food works really well for me. So then I really became even more attuned with my body than I already was.
Right.
And then over time, so I started getting some thyroid issues.
Okay.
And I think that was from eating so low carb and just, there was a lot of fasting going on. There was a lot, but basically I had some thyroid problems. So I started reintroducing like a lot more carbs, a lot more sugar.
Nice.
And so now the way that I eat is, I guess you could say it's animal-based still. Meat is animal products are a big part of my diet. I used to think I had problems with dairy in the past, and it's crazy, but now I don't know, that maybe that like carnivore reset me or something, but I have no problems with dairy now.
Wow.
My main carb source is fruit, and sometimes tubers, like sometimes potatoes, sometimes white rice, but mainly fruit, honey, fruit juices.
Nice, dude.
And yeah, like my standard meal is like some serving of meat and fruit.
Nice, dude.
In the morning I have eggs and a smoothie, but other than that, yeah, it's usually like meat and fruit.
Right.
Pretty simple.
Cool. So I gotta ask you, when you did the carnivore diet, how, like, were you pooping at all?
Oh man, how did I know you were gonna ask this question? Okay, all right. So let me give you the let me tell you how it went down. So like I had been watching videos and like what to expect.
Right.
Like, how am I gonna poop? There's like no mass to any of the food that I'm eating.
Right.
And a lot of the benefit of the carnivore diet is that it's an upper gut diet, because meat is mainly digested in the small intestine, not so much in the colon. So it's technically a low residue diet, which mimics fasting or gut rest, which is, as you know, very healing. So initially, what you experience on the carnivore diet is not very solid bowel movements. Not solid at all for the first couple weeks. And then after that, after those first like 2-3 weeks, it's like the most perfect formed poop you've ever had. It's crazy. Like,
so it is kind of it's sort of normalized,
and it's normalized. And also, like, okay, so in the past, when I was dieting for wrestling, a lot of times I'd be like overloading on fiber, overloading on vegetables, because I wanted to be full, because I was like starving myself, so I wanted to be full, and what I noticed with that is I would just get this huge bloated gut, and then like it would just take forever on the toilet because you just have all this mass inside of you. Well, with carnivore, there just wasn't much. So like, you'd poop once a day, and it would just be like one small thing, and it'd be perfect, and no pushing, nothing, and it's just like it's out of you and you're done. Made it very easy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know if that's too much information.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
You asked the question. So.
No, yeah. Well, it's just that like in the world that I'm living in, like not even the vegan world, but like the raw vegan world. I'm sure you've heard of being like raw vegan. And I actually went raw vegan for a year. But I feel like a lot of that world is based around elimination. It's not even so much like what you're putting in, but they only care about eliminating. So it's like go on a juice fast for 30 days, 60 days, and just like keep eliminating. And for me, it's like I'm almost questioning after X amount of time, is it like you're constipated and you actually are like pooping out fecal matter, or is it like your body's eating itself alive because it's starving and you're just like pooping out, I don't know, whatever muscle. I don't even know if you can poop out muscle, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what exactly are you pooping out? You know, it's just like these myths that are out there. And
well,
yeah,
that's something I think we can agree on, is that I think whether you're doing a vegan diet or paleo or carnivore, is that really, I think it's just about, I think we all agree that it's about eating real whole foods.
Yeah, no doubt.
Nature.
No doubt.
And eliminating the crap foods. And
right.
That's why you feel better. I'm sure I would have felt great if I went on a vegan diet and eliminated whatever the problem foods were for me.
Right.
So I think we agree on that.
Yeah. 100%. I definitely think, so I don't want to like necessarily demonize certain foods, because I know there's also that other community where it's like, anti-diet, you know, and they kind of just like eat whatever they want, sort of, you know, like, oh, I'm eating this candy bar or that, whatever, you know, like you can't tell me what to do. My body is asking for this and stuff. So like, I don't want to say that like some foods are necessarily bad and other foods are necessarily better, but no, like 100%, I think it's obvious. And I think mostly everyone would agree that eating whole foods, you know, whether it is an animal from nature, or whether it is just like the egg, or whether it is just a piece of fruit or the actual vegetable or the potato, you know, that's 100% better. And it's going to have a much different effect on your body than eating like a piece of cake, you know, or eating a candy bar. But yeah, it's not like, I don't want to like demonize those foods, because I mean, if it happens, it happens, you eat them, but definitely sticking to a predominantly whole foods diet is definitely ideal, you know?
Yes.
So yeah. Also another point or another question I want to ask, well, not even ask, but like, I hear a lot of people in that like carnivore community, they'll say that like meat is 100% absorbable. And I guess if it is, then technically speaking, once you wouldn't have any remains of it, right? Like you wouldn't even have to get the bathroom. But I don't know if you had any thoughts on that. And well, that's the thing too, is they'll say that like eat meat because it's like you'll absorb it all, compared to like eating plant foods, which might be a little tougher to absorb, you know, and you might not get all the availability of the nutrition from the plants, you know. So I didn't know if you had any thoughts on that.
So yeah, I don't know why I just thought of this example, but like I've never thought about it this way before. But so I work in surgery, and there's a surgery you do where basically you remove part of the colon and you redirect it, like a colostomy. And so they have a hole that the poop comes out of, but it's like on their abdomen rather than out of their, you know, their butt.
Right. Right.
And but they still have a part of their colon connected to their rectum. And depending on how long, sometimes they reverse. It's called reversing the procedure. Well, they'll reconnect it in the future. Well, in that part of the colon that's not getting any food, right? There's still poop, because your body is kind of like shedding in your colon. You're shedding mucus. You're shedding colonic cells. So you're still going to poop. Like even people on long fasts, 30-day fasts, are still pooping, because your body is still shedding cells and you still are producing mucus in your gut. So I would say that you're going to poop regardless if you're eating or not.
Right.
And if you're just eating meat. But yeah, in that regard, I mean, I'm sure it's not 100% absorbed. But my opinion is that like, do you know Michaela Peterson? Jordan Peterson's daughter.
Oh, yeah. Well, wasn't that the guy where well, I think I've heard a little bit of it, where I think he put her on like a vegan diet or something, or some elimination diet, but like that didn't work. I don't know if that's true or not, but then he like put her on like an only meat diet, and like all of a sudden all of her symptoms went away, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what basically
it
is?
It was like only ground beef. And like that's all she could eat, because she had this like horrible like neurological disorder or like a rheumatological disorder. She's always in pain. And for whatever reason, only ground beef worked really well for her. And to me, eating only meat, it's like this reset. It's such a basic nutrient for your body. And this is something we could get into, whether humans evolved eating meat or whether we didn't.
Right.
I really feel like it was ancestrally just an important part of our diet. And it's just such a basic nutrient for our body that, yeah, it's pretty bioavailable. The protein from an animal food is a lot more bioavailable than the protein from a plant food, which is why a lot of times vegans have to supplement certain amino acids. You know, like I see nothing wrong with doing a vegan diet or going a plant-based option. You just do have to supplement if you want to be optimized.
Right. Yes. So even with that, like I can definitely agree that like in our ancestral days, we were eating meat. And I've learned from Dr. Doug Lisle. I'm not sure. Have you heard of Dr. Doug Lisle by chance?
I don't know. I don't think so. I usually know some of the bigger names, but yeah.
Well, he's a clinical psychologist at the True North Health Center. I think that's in Los Angeles, or it's in California. I'm not sure if it's in Los Angeles, but it's in California. Or I know it's True North. My apologies if I said that wrong. And he has his own podcast called the Beat Your Genes podcast. And he does that with his co-host, Jen Hawk. And I think she's a psychologist as well. There's also someone else who like monitors the podcast. But yeah, so just like from hearing what Dr. Doug Lisle would say, he would say that like in these villages back in the day that yes, like you would eat meat sometimes. Like if you were able to get a kill, you would eat it, but you would eat it like super fast and super quick, and you might not get a kill always. So a lot of the main source of their diet, not their main source, but like a predominant source of their diet was eating like tubers and root vegetables and fruits and those plant foods, because they knew that they were going to have those plant foods. They knew that they were going to be able to get them, but if they didn't know if they were going to get a kill. And to me, that does sort of make sense. And obviously, like you have all these different kind of populations and villages, and everyone's different. You know, I know there's some villages, like there's some villages who do only eat meat, and that's all they do.
Yep.
That's like their main diet. And there's also on the opposite side, there's some villages who only eat like sweet potatoes, you know, and honey. That's like the main part of their diet, you know? So it just like, it definitely depends on the part of your world. I know like the people up in Alaska, I think they eat like walrus, you know, like it's just going to depend on your environment and where you are in the world. But yeah, but I definitely can agree that our ancestors were eating meat and that we did adapt to eating meat, you know, even if like our bodies are designed frugivores, you know, that's what like the raw vegans would say, that like we're frugivores, you know, by nature, you should be only eating fruit, you know? But
I could probably get down with that, honestly. I love fruit.
Yeah, fruit's good. Fruit's good. Sometimes like, see, fruit's a little snippet here. Fruit is, it's amazing. Sometimes it's tough because like the fruit doesn't get ripe enough, and the quality of fruit is so crucial. You know, if I had the best quality fruit all the time, I mean, it'd be so easy to eat all this fruit, you know, but even still, like I have these bananas back here, and some apples, and like, yeah, they're good. But the bananas aren't ripe enough yet for my liking, at least. So it's like, I gotta like keep pushing it off. And I know that like when I eat potatoes and I eat rice, it's consistent every single time. It's going to be the same taste basically every single time. And that's comparably speaking to eating meat or eating eggs, you know, like you're going to get that consistency. Whereas like with the fruit, it's not as, it has the potential to be not as consistent in taste, you know? So, but anyways, go ahead.
Well, who's the guy at Seton Hill? He's on the basketball team. I want to say his name was Dave, right?
Oh, Dave Windsor. Yes, Dave Windsor.
Dude, I remember I'd come into the dining hall. He'd have like 6 oranges on his plate, and that's all he would eat. Yeah. I was like, dude, all right.
Yep.
Hey, if it works for you.
Dude, it's so funny you say that.
Is he still a vegan?
From my knowledge, yes, he is. He was super into his Instagram, and he actually went to New York University to get his master's in nutrition. And I actually do want to interview Dave, but I think over time he found some like other opportunities, and he told me that he like kind of just like put his degree on hold and that he was going to like just do it slowly over the next couple months or years, whatever. But yeah, from my knowledge, he's still a vegan. And, like I said, he was super into like Instagram, and dude, I'm telling you, he was popping off, and he had hella followers, and he still does.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he's on social media now. He actually started posting again, but he actually doesn't post like anything like vegan really, or anything plant-based. He's more posting about like real life issues and whatnot. So, but yeah, he's a great guy. And it's so funny. I saw him eating. I even remember like days when I go in, I'm like, holy shit, this dude's eating like 10 bananas, or he has 10 oranges on his plate. Like, I'm like, what's this dude doing? And then here's me, like, for some reason, I'm doing it too, you know? But yeah, Dave's a good guy. And he was one of my, I'd say he's one of my mentors for sure. I mean, I was asking him hella questions. He's probably so annoyed with me.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, no doubt.
I remember his one hashtag was, it was like, it was like eat pussy, not animals or something. I was like, okay. Well,
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah. Fair argument. Yeah.
Cool. So, yeah, thanks for sharing that stuff. Awesome stuff. I wanted to talk about, I'm trying to think here, because there's definitely a bunch of topics that we can get under. Is there anything in specific? Because I wanted to talk about like healing, and what that really is, and what like your thoughts are on that. And I know like there's all these different kind of healing modalities out there, you know. And like we were saying earlier, there is like juice fasting, and there's like eating only fruits, and then like I've seen people do just like only meat and sea salt, you know, or whatever, you know. But it's like, obviously I think it depends on the issue that you're healing from, but
yeah. And your idea of health.
Yeah, and your idea of health too, you know. But I also believe that if you go in these certain extremes, it could have the potential to lead to other issues as well. So like, I'll even use me for an example. So like I did a juice fast, and I've done 3 of them actually. One was 30 days, one was 20 days, one was like 6.5, 7 days. And I guess you can say I wasn't, maybe I wasn't guided in the right way, or I didn't have like a coach that was next to me. And maybe I should have like hired a coach and talked to them and really have gotten one-on-one interaction to see if I'm doing it correctly and whatnot. So that's definitely on me for the mistakes that I made, you know. But I noticed that like after my juice fasts, like, well, I actually learned from a guy online, John Rose. I'm not sure if you've heard of John Rose or not, but he's like the big juice fasting guy on YouTube. And he's inspiring. I actually haven't listened to him in, I don't know, 6 months, but he's definitely inspiring, and he really like made me want to get into it, you know. Just because like the issue that I wanted to heal from is it's sort of like incurable. And I don't want to talk about that now. Maybe off the phone, off the call here, we can talk about it.
That's fine.
Yeah. But I noticed like after my juice fast, like I was so bloated. I was still like intermittent fasting. I was like eating grapes and watermelon, and like I'd be bloated for like 2 hours straight. And I feel like my metabolism was like sort of messed up, you know. But I have heard from people that like their metabolism gets better from a juice fast, you know. But for me, I was like just bloating, and I had like no energy, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is how you heal. And it's like, I have nothing, you know?
Yeah.
So even in this community, we'll see like people will just get like so depleted, you know, they'll like just go so far into it. And I know this one guy, I think his name, I know his name. His name is Rob Bliss. And there's people on YouTube, they're legit making videos of this kid. Like, hey, look at this guy. He's starving. He's super skinny. He's so malnourished. He looks like should be in Haiti with the kids in there, because he's like starving himself. And people on YouTube are like posting about him, talking about him and stuff. And like they're saying this can't be healing in any way. Like, this is not healthy for you. Like he has no muscle mass. He has nothing at all, but like some
Yep.
people think that getting to the bone of your body and then rebuilding yourself back up is like the best way to heal. And like, I just don't necessarily agree with that. Maybe your body's just missing some minerals, or maybe your body is missing some micronutrients, but I just can't really get with like just getting yourself down to the bone. And even on my juice fast, do you know Brendan Wright? By chance?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He dates.
Was he on the baseball team?
He was a pitcher. He dates Alex Hay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember like I sent a picture of myself to our group, and he's like, MP, you look like the machinist. Christian
Bale.
Christian Bale, yeah. Dude, like I was like super skinny, and I mean, even now compared to like what I was back in college, like I was like big in college. I had like a ton of muscle, and I'm not saying that like I'm pretty like cut up now, and I definitely have some muscle, but I'm definitely not as big. Like for me, my goals are more oriented towards like running and biking and being leaner for sure. Not necessarily being like big, but I am like working on definitely gaining more muscle and just kind of balancing it all out so that I like to do everything, But anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah. Like they were just saying that like I look super skinny and malnourished, and like I see people on YouTube and stuff like talking about these vegans, and there's even channels like, I'm sure you've seen Vegan Deterioration Talk or heard some videos from them. There's the one African-American guy who like was vegan for 8 years, and he's like fucking shredded. And then like all of a sudden he like, just like that, he like turned carnivore, I forget his name. But there's like a lot of people on YouTube, and they'll like make fun of vegans, which like, I think that's kind of like, in my opinion, it's kind of like, come on now, like,
right.
Like who are you to say that,
just trying to get healthy.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. But that's actually like those YouTube videos that we would see. I started sending them to my buddy AJ, and I'm like, hey dude, AJ, the co-host of the podcast. I'm like, hey dude, like look at these people. They look like malnourished. They look underweight. They don't look healthy. They're just so depleted. Like, I don't want to get like that. And I'm like questioning if I should even be like vegan or not. I'm thinking like, wow, like what the heck, but I'm like, I'm committed on my values. I'm committed. And I love it. But yeah, so that's actually a reason why we started the podcast. It's because we wanted to bring these issues to light and just be like, hey, like, obviously like we're not like nutritionists. We don't have a degree in any of this kind of stuff, but like we can at least say like, hey, like we understand you want to heal. We understand you want to get healthy, but like, you don't have to just deplete your body, and go through all these crazy healing and do all this crazy fasting and stuff to get to where you like in hopes to get healthier, like you can do it in a sustainable way. You can do it in a healthy manner. So yeah, that's actually a big reason why we started the podcast, just to get that word out there, but yeah,
I definitely agree with that. I think, it's, for me, it was, I thought more is better with certain things. Right. And it led to kind of extremist methods, like what you were kind of with the 30-day juice fast. So for example, with me, my idea of health 2 years ago is way different than it is now. And I think in the past, so initially I got into intermittent fasting.
Yeah.
And I was doing that like the 16/8, normal schedule or whatever.
Right.
Then I was like, well, like, why don't I just keep pushing it and see how far I can take it? Obviously more is better. And, with autophagy, like, autophagy kicks in at 72 hours. So I got to make it to 72 hours.
Right.
So
It
was like this thing where like every week I would try to like have a PR for fasting. And my horrible. It's just horrible. And honestly, it led to like disordered eating and just a bad relationship.
100%.
And
100%.
And like I had already had kind of a bad relationship with food because of wrestling. It's just
right.
sport for that kind of thing.
Yeah, I can imagine that you're restricting yourself and you're like working out for 4 hours a day, just sweating, trying to get your weight down. Like,
yeah. And then like when you do eat, you're just like eating everything in sight, and like,
right.
like binge eating. It's just,
right.
it wasn't good. Bad, like body image.
Right.
I mean, I'm good now, but for a while I was struggling with that.
Right.
But yeah. So anyway, like the longest fast I ever did, it was just a water only fast. It was like 5 days. But I had done tons of 2 days, tons of 3-day fasts. And then when I introduced carnivore on top of it, I wasn't eating like any carbs, right? It was just meat. But you know, there's that whole community that's like, oh, carbs are the devil. Carbs are horrible for you. You're gonna, you know, like you're aging yourself with all this glycemic variability.
Right,
blah,
right.
Blah, blah. I bought into
it.
And I was like, my idea of health now is, it's a lot different. It's like, you should have high energy, high libido. Your skin should look good. Your hair should look good.
Yeah, like thick hair for sure.
Yes, you should wake up in the morning and have energy and not have to drink coffee right when you wake up.
Right. Yeah.
All of these things. And so like last year when I had like started carnivore and stuff, I was feeling good, but then it was crazy. My hair started falling out, and then my eyebrows started like thinning, and I was like,
no
what
way.
the hell is going on? Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So that is pretty indicative of hypothyroidism.
Okay.
And so then I found Ray Peat.
Yep.
Right? I found his work.
Yeah.
And everyone in that community, right? Like earlier you were saying how you need to get things tested through blood to check and see where your hormones are at. Well, thyroid is very interesting. If you take your body temperature, like first thing when you wake up,
like under your armpit,
mouth, whatever. Just a temperature, basal body temperature, and then also like your heart rate. Well, those two things are very indicative of your thyroid function. And I remember like in the beginning, before I started doing any of this stuff, like I think my body temperature was like in the 96s.
Okay.
And that's just not optimal. Like your body at 98.6 degrees is functioning optimally. Every metabolic process, every chemical reaction, that's the best that it's supposed to function. And my pulse at one point, like on some fasts, my resting pulse would go down to like 38. And to me, I'm like, oh, this is great. I'm like, my heart is like functioning so well.
Right.
But then I was realizing, well, like I have no libido, no energy in the gym. I can't put on muscle.
Right.
I'm losing my hair. I feel like crap. And so then, yeah, it's been a journey of healing my thyroid since then. And I feel so much better. Like everything has gotten better.
That's great.
And my body temperature now, like it's like 98.7. Like right when I wake up, my pulse is come up. I feel better. My hair grew back. My eyebrows are back.
Yeah, you look great, like, dude. You look great.
all around. I'm just thank you. Yeah, I'm feeling better. So
nice, dude.
It's really it's our idea of health. It's more is not always better.
Right.
In summary. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I think a lot of people, they hate balance. You know, they like, it's almost like they don't want to balance. They would rather like go in these extremes and live on these extremes instead of being like, okay, like I can only eat fruit, but I actually will feel more balanced if I eat fruits and I eat vegetables and I eat greens as well. Like if for people who do raw veganism. And like, I think there's just such a what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Like they just don't want to balance anything out, you know? And it's actually funny because I see a lot of people like even keto and carnivore, they'll like include sea salt. And for me, like I'll see people on the internet, they'll say like, never eat salt. It's corrosive, you know, it's like, it's tearing your body apart, you know, but actually I've learned that sodium is crucial for your body. And it's crucial for your body to maintain water homeostasis. And obviously we have our sodium potassium ratios, and like eating so many potatoes and so many bananas, like my potassium is like essentially like through the roof, even though like I probably
Yep.
don't have like a potassium overload, but like I actually
You would
can
know it.
what?
Your heart would, you would know it. You'd have a heart like,
Yeah, right.
basically, you
Well,
would see it on the EKG and
right.
feel it.
Well, it's actually funny because during Ryder, he's like, not that he eats 30 bananas a day, but like he created this like idea back when he was like raw vegan like back in 2013, 8 years ago, where it's like 30 bananas a day.com. And he said that I think at one point he was doing like 20 banana smoothies and then like 10 banana smoothies later. Like he was doing a ton of bananas. And he would get like his blood levels checked, and he get his potassium checked. And he's like, his potassium was normal. Like he didn't have any potassium issues. Yeah. And he's like, where's my heart attack? Like, I'm not dead, you know?
Yeah.
But anyways, my point here is that I do believe that like adding some sea salt to my potatoes, even though like I want to be as pure as possible and not add salt, but like adding the sea salt, not only does it make it taste better, but it actually can probably help balance out my sodium potassium ratios in my body. And I think that can be beneficial, you know? But like I said, there's just like people out there who are like, don't do this, don't do that. It's bad for you, you know? And I actually sort of see it as a good thing, you know? So
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I agree.
Right. But anyways, I definitely did want to dive into like Ray Peat a little bit because I find some of his work interesting and intriguing. And I know that like he isn't like vegan. He does include animal products in his diet, but he does understand the role of carbohydrates in the body and how important they are, you know? And so I'm sure like you seem highly familiar with him and have a lot to say about him. But like just my general knowledge about Ray Peat is that he's not like super into fasting, that maybe, yeah. So like maybe not even, maybe like 12 hours at the longest, maybe not even that, like 10 hours max, you know, or maybe even 8, you know? But at every meal, what he says to do like a protein and a carbohydrate, you know, essentially, that's like essentially what he says. And I know he has like certain ways of doing it. But yeah, I definitely find that perspective interesting. And it's actually funny. Like there's I think there's someone on Twitter who they like want to get like they want to get all the quacks out of here, you know? So they have like this quack list. And
yes. Is it bad medical takes?
It might be. It might be.
I've been trying so hard to get on that. Oh my God. I want to be on bad medical takes so bad.
That's so funny. Yeah, actually, you know what? I saw that you liked a photo and I followed bad medical takes because it is funny.
Well, I was literally like, I said something like, I go here for my medical information because all this stuff, it's really like based medical takes in my mind. Like,
right.
I don't know. A lot of it makes sense to me.
Right. Well, someone said, like don't eat, like essentially what they were saying is like don't eat plant foods, and then they give a list of like what your diet should be, and it was like meat, eggs, milk, fruit, and it's like, wait a second, fruit's a plant, like you're eating. He's like never eat plant foods, and then he's saying eat fruit. But yeah. So just what are your thoughts on Ray Peat and how he's helped you? And yeah.
So a couple big ideas with Ray Peat. And it's interesting because Ray Peat, he never tried to blow up the way that he has. It's very strange. He just kind of does his own work. He's not in the public eye.
Right.
He doesn't promote any of his ideas. It was just a few like big names in this bioenergetic space, community, sphere, whatever you want to call it, found his work and made it popular through their own social media, through their own podcast.
Wow.
And like they'll have him on their podcast, they'll interview him, and he has his own website with his own articles. But anyway, his big ideas are this bioenergetic approach to eating, which is your body does best when your thyroid is functioning optimally. Yep. Your body does a lot better when you're eating more frequently and eating more carbs, because sugar is the main fuel source of the body, which is
Right.
like completely opposite of what I've always thought, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so weird to me that, you know, just 2 years ago, I would have looked at this and been like, that guy is a heretic, you know?
Right.
And like
Right.
fasting was everything to me and sugar was the devil. But it's like, now that I'm eating sugar and now that I'm eating every like few hours, I feel better than I've ever felt.
Wow.
And so it's a very energy based, low stress, keeping cortisol low. And another big component is switching out saturated fats for polyunsaturated fats. Okay. I don't know if you're up on this.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
this argument is something that I am so passionate about, and I feel like I could talk about it for so long. I'll do a whole podcast just on this, because the myth that saturated fats are bad is
right.
Oh, it is toxic. It has ruined health. It has ruined the health of this country. It truly has. And that's a big component of his work is saturated fats are much better than the polyunsaturated PUFAs, seed oil, you know, that are in everything that we eat now.
Right.
It's poison.
Yeah. So like the way that I see that is, let's even just like, I think if you like, let's say you go out and you hunt an elk, you know, and you have an actual elk and you eat the meat from an elk, you know, like no matter what's in that elk, like the fat or the protein, whatever's in it, let's not worry about that. It's just like, it's the fact that it's not in a factory farm and it's not being beaten to death. And it's not being raped, and it's not all this kind of like, it's not going to be trauma. It's not like all that kind of crap that those animals go through. Like, I feel like at least if you go out in nature and you get a kill and you actually eat that meat, that, in my opinion, even though I don't eat meat, that's like much healthier and much better for you than actually than going and getting whatever processed meats or whatever. Just going to Giant Eagle and just fucking getting.
Just to interject real quick, I'll let you get right back to
yeah.
The meat that I get, I guess I'm saying this to just appease people. The meat that I get it's from Butcher Box. So this is another thing I'm really passionate about is regenerative agriculture. So it's all pasture raised, it's all regenerative, free range, organic. Like you said, it's not CAFOs. These animals aren't being tortured or going through trauma, and they're happy animals. Honestly, happier than they'd probably be in nature, where they could die from starvation. They could die from being eaten alive by wolves or whatever. And totally. The quality of the meat is, you can taste the difference. It's so much better. It's obviously, I pay a premium for it. It's a little bit higher price, but I'm willing to do that because I believe in what they're doing. And not only that, but this another big topic is the whole climate change and how cows are evil and releasing all this methane. And with regenerative agriculture, it's this big cycle. Like the sun feeds the grass, the cows eat the grass, the cows poop into the soil, the soil regenerates, and then it's just this perfect cycle. The soil, the grass, absorbs CO2. It's a big carbon sink. People don't realize that. And instead, we're doing this monocrop agriculture where we're destroying the soil. Right. We're destroying natural ecosystems, and nobody wants to talk about that. Vegans don't want to have that conversation. Which is one thing that really bugs me. But and to me, it's how do they say it? It's not the cow, it's the how. it's how we raise these animals and what the ecosystems they're in. So yeah, just to get off my soapbox for a minute and
No. I totally get what you're saying there. And I think the thing is that in this world, you know, we have to feed 7 billion, 8 billion people, whatever it is. And and like, you essentially kind of need these not that you need them, but we've adapted to these factory farms and essentially forced breeding animals, you know? So it's like, if we all change the way we ate, and even if you ate meat, only ate like the meat that you eat the meat you eat, or if you do go plant-based, whatever it is, then like essentially you wouldn't have to force breed these animals, you know? And I definitely agree that like, if you put a cow or a sheep out in nature, I mean, would they be able to protect themselves? And I mean, probably not. I mean, they might have a chance if there's a herd of cows and there's maybe one wolf or whatever, but like even still, I think like I think it's easy to kind of tell that these animals wouldn't be out in nature, and or they won't be able to survive as long as one might think, but like I said, I think that we're just like making new cows and new pig, like we're constantly doing that. And I just think I think that like the argument is kind of not dumb, but it's like, it always doesn't make sense because it's like we're making ourselves look bad almost, because it's like, yes, we're force breeding these animals, and then we're saying, oh, well, like if these animals were out in nature, they would die. But it's like, we could also not force breed them. We could do it a certain way that's sustainable and better, but we don't do that. So then it's like, it comes back to the same argument, but but like, I mean, I totally agree. And I actually have a lot of respect for you and doing what you do. I definitely give you credit. And even my friends here, my good friends from back home, like they hunt, and like, even then, like, I respect that, even like, it's not whether I agree with it or not. Like, it's their life, they can do whatever they want, but like, I definitely have
them a pass.
Yeah, right. I definitely have more respect for that. Anyways, I forget what I was saying beforehand. I forget, but I actually wanted to like ask you this, or at least bring it up, because like, I definitely agree with, like, for the most part of what like Ray Peat has to say, and I definitely find his perspective interesting about like doing like a protein and a carb at every meal. Now I've wanted to like think of ways to do that in a vegan way, in a plant-based way, but I feel like it can be a little bit difficult. Like, I guess like you could do tofu, like tofu and fruit, maybe, or maybe do like, but like, that's the thing, is like doing like, even beans are such a high carbohydrate source. Like, yes, they have protein, but they're such a high carbohydrate source. Even lentils are high carbohydrate as well. Like most plants foods are high carbohydrate. Like I think tofu, maybe tempeh, like soybeans, those are like, maybe even oats are high carbohydrate, but like those are the more like tofu, tempeh, soy-based products are the more high protein type plant foods. And I haven't really figured out a way that I could like eat like how Ray Peat says in a plant-based manner, I guess like, I know people, they'll do like raw goat's milk with like dates. That's like, oh, one of my favorite snacks is doing goat's milk with dates, and I guess like, oh, I could do like a nut-based milk with dates, but like, sometimes I don't want to just go, I don't like the products at the store mostly. So like, it's best to like make it myself, and like, I just don't want to do that. So
it's tough for your purposes. I would say it's maybe hard. But yeah, I think it's just, and even he's not, I wouldn't say that he pushes animal-based or meat even. It's not really even a big part of what he promotes. He's actually he's actually really big into milk. Like he loves milk, and he even recommends some people do like all milk diets, like to heal or whatever. I guess
really
milk fast.
Wow.
Yeah, like just drink milk, and that's it.
Wow.
It's a pretty complete food. There's not a lot missing from it. I mean, after probably a month, you would need to add some other things in, but it's close to perfect macronutrient wise. It's got some sugar, it's got some fat, it's got some protein, and also it's weird because the idea, he doesn't love starches, but he loves sugars. So like, so starches, he wants, the quicker that it can turn into sugar energy, the better. But yeah, just he's really big into coffee. Like,
yeah, I've noticed
coffee.
that.
Have you noticed that? Because it's just really good for the thyroid. And another thing is sugar. Sugar helps the conversion of T4, which is your inactive thyroid hormone, into T3, which is the active form.
Right.
So sugar does that. Coffee does that.
Right.
A lot of what he promotes is just optimizing the thyroid. And even like a lot of the people in his community take some form of thyroid supplement, which is what I also do. So I will probably do that the rest of my life because I feel so good. It's a supplement. It's something that's really hard to overdo. So as long as you're staying within, and I want to be optimized too. So like a funny thing about medicine is, here's a good example of bad medicine is, so we test for hypothyroidism in medicine, we test TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone.
Yep.
And basically the normal range is 0.5 to 5. And that might not sound like a lot, but that is a huge range. So someone could be 4.9 and someone could be 0.5.
Right.
And those people are vastly different symptomatic wise. The person at 4.9 might be symptomatic and they're probably hypothyroid, but they're still normal. So it doesn't get treated. Right. And then when they do treat it, they only treat it with T4, which men are better at converting T4 to T3. So it might work for a man, but like most people that are getting hypothyroidism are actually women, and women don't convert T4 to T3 very well. And the T4 only therapy is garbage. It just doesn't work. You need that active form. You need T3. So you need the dual combined T4 and T3, or it's called NDT, nature's desiccated thyroid. Okay. And basically what they do is they just, like, from whatever animal remains, like a pig, like let's say they butcher a pig, and a lot of times they're just getting rid of whatever the organs. Right. Well, they'll grind up the thyroid, desiccate it, which is dried, and put it into capsules, and it's thyroid from nature. So in the exact ratio that we would need it. Wow. And it's said that traditionally, ancestrally, when we eat meats now, we eat the muscle meat, right? We're only eating chicken breast and the thigh and whatever else, a steak. But traditionally, ancestrally, we were eating the organs. We weren't wasting the food. Yeah. We weren't wasting the meat.
Eating head to tail. I've heard that.
Exactly. Yes. And so traditionally, it's said that we probably had a lot more thyroid in our diet, and I truly think that a lot more people are hypothyroid than they should be. So honestly, I think the optimal range is 0.5 to 2 at the very highest, but our range goes all the way up to 5, and it's just it's just bad medicine. Yeah. Right.
Well, I've heard people say that, like, when you go get your thyroid check, that you shouldn't just get you shouldn't just check TSH. You should get like a full panel thyroid check, and that's a better determining factor. I don't know everything that's in that, but they say that, like, you shouldn't just get your TSH checked,
but here's the thing, they're not going to most of the time, they're not going to cover it. Your insurance won't cover it until your TSH is abnormal. It's just the way that, dude. Wow. Like, there's so many little nuances with medicine that just don't make sense, and that are all, it's frustrating, but
wow, that is tough.
One of those things where, but you could go to like Let's Get Checked or whatever. There's online, which is great now. I love that you can just go and get your labs tested at Quest or wherever now. But definitely, you should get T4 tested, T3, reverse T3, the TPO antibodies, all of it. Nice. Full panel, not just TSH. It's a terrible marker. Right. And honestly, the place to start before you do any of that, body temperature and pulse. Check those two things. And if they're not optimized, your thyroid probably isn't doing great. Right. Yeah. I actually really appreciate Ray Peat's perspective on the thyroid, in that, like, if your thyroid's functioning well, then essentially your body, for the most part, is going to be functioning well as well. And like, it's just the connection. It's like connected to everything. It's all parts of the body. And I really love that. And there's all these different perspectives out there of, like, why someone's sick and why someone's this. But I find that one top of the line. Like,
almost the best, the
Dude,
best,
my
best perspective.
testosterone shot up when I
Wow.
started taking thyroid. And
Wow.
I was like, I've been making gains in the gym. It's almost like, like newbie gains.
Yeah. Right.
The past like few months, I've been making more gains in the gym than I had in like the past like year or two. It's crazy.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Just from,
Good stuff.
and a lot of people say that, once you start taking thyroid, your body's just able to process the nutrients that you're eating better because your metabolism's quicker.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm just getting all the nutrients from my food finally.
Right.
So.
Right. Nice, dude. That's sick. That's sick. And I definitely agree with that. I wanted to talk about sugar for a second. I maybe even sugar and some salt stuff, and then we'll close it up there. Now, I love that Ray Peat, he says like sugar, it's just sucrose and fructose. Or no, it's sucrose, which is glucose and fructose.
Yeah.
50-50.
Yeah.
So it's like I have that banana there, I have an apple, I have some apples over there. Now, what's in the apple, what's in the banana is glucose and fructose. It's not sucrose, but it's glucose and fructose. So, yes, I understand that to break down the sucrose molecule, it's like an extra step, you could say. But essentially, like, I don't want to say it's the same, but it's similar in a sense, the sugar that's in fruits and the sugar that's in, or the sugar itself, cane sugar,
like table sugar,
brown sugar, whatever, Now, I've done like adding sugar to my smoothies and stuff. And like, I would do like these big smoothies with like bananas and frozen fruit and whatnot. And I would add sugar to that. That was like the Durian Rider protocol. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like I had like crazy energy and my training was like off the top. Like I was going nuts. But I did feel sort of unbalanced though. And like, I would sometimes get this feeling in my head where I don't know if it was like a high, but it was like kind of like a dazed feeling. So I sort of like came off like, I sort of like, I just feel like I feel like I wasn't balanced out at all, but I sort of came off like the cane sugar. And if I do use sugar now, I use like brown sugar or coconut sugar. And I do feel much more balanced when I eat those. And I've heard that like the brown sugar and the coconut sugar, they still have like some minerals in them compared to like the white sugar, which is just like straight sugar. So yeah, I think I definitely think that there's people out there who are like so scared of sugar, even like table sugar, and they demonize it. And like, I can totally understand. And I can totally understand that. I can totally understand why they demonize sugar. But a lot of times it's people are talking about the sugar that's in like, they're talking about sugar that's in like the cakes and stuff. But along with the cake is a lot of fat too. A lot of probably polyunsaturated fats, you could say, So it's like, so it's not like it's sugar on its own or sugar with a nutrient dense source of food. It's sugar with like different kind of added fats and oils and stuff. And I think that's like where the mix up comes in. So people will be like, oh, don't eat sugar. Well, it's like, like don't eat cookies and cake, like not don't eat it, but like limit them, but if you are going to have sugar, like I feel like there's a way to use sugar, So I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
I wish I would have wrote down. I'm so glad you brought this up because it's going to lead to some good thoughts here. I wish I would have wrote a couple things down, but I think I've got an idea of where I want to go with this. So are you aware of the glycemic index of foods?
Yeah. So
personally, I think it's kind of a bad metric. It's outdated. Like early 2000s, late 90s, it was like the thing. There was all these books on it, and you got to keep your glycemic index low. What people don't realize is that's those foods in isolation. Like
Yep.
To me, a meal for me is some sort of protein, some sort of carb, some sort of like healthy fat. Usually,
a
lot of times the fat and the protein are the same thing.
Right.
But whenever you're eating that one carb source that whatever has like a high glycemic index, it's being blunted by protein. Protein is insulinogenic, and same with fat. It just slows down the digestion of it. So you're not getting that big glycemic spike, which is just, it's a terrible metric. So yeah, and like you were saying, fruit, for example, it's, I think, you know, a little bit more fructose than it is glucose. Yeah, sucrose, it's all the same. But I was thinking, when you were kind of getting that weird head buzz feeling, either it's hypo or hyperglycemia. Maybe you just went too high and you didn't have enough either. You either didn't have enough fiber with it. You probably weren't eating any fat with it. No protein. So
it was just like all sugar.
It was like a trillion. Yeah, you were like through the roof.
Real quick.
And
go ahead. Actually, go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So, and then next, you made a really, really good point about how people are demonizing sugar.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, well, don't eat cookies and cakes. Don't eat Twinkies. It's like, you do realize those aren't only sugar.
Yeah,
you know what else is in that stuff?
It's like chemicals too.
And honestly, to me, it's the PUFAs that are causing the health problems in this country. It's not sugar. It is not sugar. I'll make that statement now, and in 20 years, watch it be correct. I mark my words. I guarantee you that this is what everyone will be saying. But anyway, so in all the studies that are showing these epidemiological studies, which an epidemiological study just means they take a cohort of people and they ask them, oh, how was your diet over the past 10 years? Which one is terrible because people don't remember what they ate. Okay. And two, it's not an interventional study. They're not looking at, okay, here's your control group. Here's your intervention group. The intervention gets a certain diet. The control gets a certain diet. And then you compare those two groups. So then you can see the difference. Well, all these sugar studies, they're not controlling for just sugar. These people are eating bad oils with it. They're doing whatever else. They're eating the processed, the grains, who knows what glyphosate is doing, which is Roundup that's being sprayed on all of our foods. So a lot of them are not sugar in isolation. In an interventional study, the ones that are actually don't show that sugar's that bad. And there's this, so same thing with red meat and with saturated fats, dude. The studies are so bad, so bad. Okay, so there's something called unhealthy user bias. And basically unhealthy user bias is, they can say red meat causes cancer. Okay, well, again, this is an epidemiological study. This is not one group gets red meat, one group doesn't get red meat. This is, we're looking at people who eat red meat, who have said that they've eaten red meat. It doesn't tell you that these same people are smoking cigarettes, drinking alcohol, eating processed carbs. None of that. They leave all of that out. Those are all confounding variables. And it's unhealthy user bias because the average person that the government tells us don't eat red meat, it's so bad for you. The average person that eats red meat probably doesn't give a shit what the government tells them, or doesn't, they're not rule followers. So these people are riding motorcycles without helmets. They're smoking cigarettes. These people die earlier because they're not following the rules. It's not the red meat. It's all the other stuff they're doing. And I guess that's kind of where I wanted to go with that. But I'm sure you're a little aware of the bad studies out there too.
Right. So I don't want to say I necessarily agree with everything. I agree with most of it for sure. I think that stress is the biggest factor in all of it. So I don't care what you're eating, no matter what it is. I think that if you're stressed out, I think that's way worse than, let's say, eating red meat or eating sugar or eating this, and that's where Ray Peat comes back in this. Cause he wants to keep stress low. He wants to keep that low. And I also think with these studies too, I think you have to keep in mind hydration and sleep as well. And I don't think the studies aren't doing that, they're not how hydrated are you actually, how much sleep are you actually getting? Are you getting good quality sleep? And I just know for myself, and I know studies will even say that the better you sleep and Is it the earlier you get to bed? I don't know, but I feel like at least if you get good quality sleep and you sleep uninterrupted, that all your bodily functions are going to function much better. That insulin's going to be better. Your hormones are going to be better.
Absolutely.
You'll grow muscle better. All that kind of stuff. And I just don't believe that like these are factors in these studies, so like, yes, there are great studies out there and people do a lot of great work and research, but I haven't done the research myself, but I'm sure that like they're not looking at sleep or hydration, so nope. And there's also other factors too, that they're even stress. They're probably not looking at stress either.
No, they're not looking at these people are sleeping 6 hours, which ramps up your cortisol, and also sugar brings down cortisol. Every time you eat sugar, it lowers your cortisol.
Right.
So that's just another random point.
Yeah,
but,
totally.
Yeah, it's not looking at the outside stressors. And as a society, as Americans, we are underslept, overworked, overstressed.
Yep. 100%.
Even just recently, I went to Germany, and
we're over energy drinks.
We're
over energy drinked. We did like energy drinks.
Yeah. but in Germany, it's just like everything was slower. The lifestyle was more.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And it's just, I was like, wow, we're doing a lot wrong in our country.
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude, I legit, I love that you said that, because I've been saying the same statements that like, we're just so fast paced here. It's always like, get to the next step, get better, make more money. Oh, you made $1 million. Okay, now make $2 million. Oh, you made $2 million. Okay, now make $4 million. Oh, you bought one house, buy 2 houses. Oh, you bought 2 houses. Oh, now you got to buy 3. Oh, now 4. It's just like, it's always the next step up. And it's like I get it. Like, you want to reach your goals and you want to be a beast and you want to inspire people, but like, there's only one, oh my gosh, what's his name? Oh my God, I can't think of his name. He's like the best health coach out there. Oh my gosh, I'd have to look it up. I can't think of his name. No cap, I gotta look it up. But like,
okay.
But there's like you're and like you gotta do you. And I think that a lot of times we want to be someone else, and we want to like get to their level. And like,
we're the country of dopamine hits.
Yeah.
Like dopamine hit from money, dopamine hit from food, and also I was thinking about this funny paradox. Me and my brother were talking about this, and it's like, okay, so America. I remember seeing this commercial during the Olympics, and it was like basically saying, don't be fooled by the amount of medals that we have in the Olympics. We are one of the unhealthiest countries in the world. we have not only the healthiest people on the planet, we have the most unhealthy people. We have the richest people and the poorest people. There's just there's this gap between everything in our country. It's so like polarized. There's this huge gap and paradox. And it just has to do with whatever our culture is. I don't know if it's capitalism. I don't know if it's what exactly it is. Greed. Dopamine. Yeah, whatever it is.
I totally get it, dude. I totally get it. And maybe it's fame. I don't know. I feel you, dude. I feel you. But the guy's name is Tony Robbins. You know Tony Robbins?
Oh yeah, of course. I've read a book about
him. Tony Robbins. I mean, he's the man. He's a legend. I'm sure like people will be like, oh, I want to be Tony Robbins, but like only one Tony Robbins, So I actually real quick, and then we can close it out there. There were like 1 or 2 points I wanted to make about the sugar stuff. And I know like, are you familiar with Mastering Diabetes by chance?
I don't think so.
Okay. So, Mastering Diabetes, it's 2 guys, Ravi Barbero, and then, my gosh, I'm having trouble with names. That's probably that vegan deterioration in me. It's funny. AJ and I will always get back and forth and be like, oh, it's just vegan deterioration.
They're going to make a YouTube video about you.
Yeah, it's fine. They can. I would love it. It would just help me even more. Thank you.
Exactly.
But two guys, they started up like this, I guess like a company or a business, and it's mashing diabetes. And essentially what the whole point of it is that like you can treat your diabetes, you can handle it. And I know Robbie, he's like a fruitarian. He does like fruit and he does vegetables and he's like raw vegan. And a lot of his meals, he'll do like fruit and he'll do greens. So like he'll do mangoes, bananas, and romaine lettuce. And or he'll do maybe arugula, maybe spinach, or if he'll do a smoothie, he'll add spinach or a green to the smoothie. And I feel like that's where greens can play a crucial role and help stabilizing and balancing the blood sugar. And even for myself, like honestly, I usually feel pretty good. Like I've been eating because I'm going to go and working out soon after this.
Yeah, me too.
And I want to make sure I got some food in me. But it was bananas, and then it was raisins, cinnamon, and maple syrup. That's like just straight sugar.
Yeah.
And like, actually, I feel phenomenal. I feel balanced. I feel good. But like, there are times when I feel like I could use some greens or whatnot to help balance that out. But not that it's like anywhere, not that it's like the same as like eating like a animal-based protein source with fruits. But it's you could say it's somewhat similar,
So you don't do like a vegan protein powder or anything like that?
Dude, I actually haven't done vegan protein powder in like 3 years, maybe. Like,
wow. How much protein do you think you get a day? How many grams?
So it depends. I don't know. So like I've never like tracked. I've never done any calorie counting. I don't know. I just usually eat till satisfaction all the time.
Yep.
Now, like so back there, like all those bananas, it's like 3 pounds of bananas, but I think if you when you take off the skin, it might be like 2.5 pounds. And I don't know, even that, I don't even know. That might be like 10 grams, maybe not even 10 grams of protein in that. But I have been eating a lot more beans and lentils and potatoes recently, even potatoes, they're not really that high in protein. Some tofu, but I mean, I don't know, maybe like 40 grams maybe of protein.
Oh my God.
But like I still have like maybe 50. Dude, honestly, I have no clue. I really don't know. Yeah. I know that's like pretty low. Like I usually just eat like hella carbohydrate, dude. Like I get
I mean, carbohydrates are protein sparing, so it kind of spares the amount of protein that you're eating in a sense. I mean, it's not how I would choose to be optimized, but hey, it seems like it's working for you.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that I would like to say that I'm uncommon in a sense, and I mean, I know I have a shirt on, but like I still have like good muscle, and I still feel pretty good, and I feel like I have like decent results in the gym. I think they can get better, and I actually do kind of want to include more protein into my diet, especially like it's coming wintertime now, and wintertime's like more bulking season, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I kind of wouldn't mind bulking up a little bit and doing more protein. I know like I'll do tofu. Like there's tofu they sell at Costco, and it's like organic, grass fed. No, I'm kidding. But I know there's a lot of protein in tofu. But I mean, I'll do like sometimes I'll do nut butters as well. And occasionally I'll do like hemp seeds for dressings, and I'll do like tahini. So yeah. But like if I'm being honest, I really have no clue what my protein source is. And the thing is like I actually do believe, like I know protein has a crucial role in the body. I do know that. I really do. And I I'm sort of like still in, I don't want to say the phase, but I still just have that idea of like bowel movements and this and that. And that's why like I do eat, or like I'm still eating like a ton of fruit. But I feel like I do want to eat more protein and get more protein. And I think that's going to help me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
So I just got to find the best ways to include it and see how it feels. So
yeah, little N of 1 experiment.
Yeah. I'll do I'll change my name to Brew N of 1.
Yeah.
And then the last statement that I wanted to just say with like the whole sugar stuff and the sucrose, and like, I don't want to come off and be like, oh, it's the same, but like the chemical structure of the sucrose compared to like what's in the fruits, it's pretty similar. It's similar. And I know like even my friend, if AJ was here, he would totally disagree with us. Cause he would say like he could take a spoonful of like white sugar and he'll like get all wonked out and he'll get like fight or flight, but he'll do like coconut sugar and he'll be like fine, stable, So I definitely think that like that's dependent on the person, but yeah. So that's just my thoughts of the sugar. And
well, I mean, that could also be where that sugar is coming from, if it's organically grown, if there's, GMOs or
right.
Like I said, like Roundup being sprayed on it.
Right.
Who knows what they're doing to it.
Good point. Awesome. So is there a way that people can contact you if they wanted to get in touch? Because I'm actually also going to post this, or at least I'll post the Instagram picture on my Brew the Creator page, Instagram. But is there a way for anyone to get in contact with you on your social media pages?
I mean, I guess you could follow me on Instagram or Twitter. Twitter is cool. Twitter, I'm definitely way different on Twitter than I am on Instagram.
Nice.
Instagram's more for like the public, and Twitter is more like it's a look inside my brain, my weird brain. So if they want the unfiltered, definitely follow me on Twitter, and then Instagram is Instagram. I don't do too much on there.
Right.
Look at my cool life or whatever.
And then your Twitter is
like everybody else does.
Right. Your Twitter is bioengineering Starboy, right?
Yeah, bioenergetic Starboy.
Bioenergetic. Okay. But when I say engineer.
The at is my name, Collin of 1, like N of 1, Collin of 1.
Okay. Great. Awesome.
Yeah. And Instagram is you'll post it. I'll probably repost it on there.
Right. Awesome. Well, that's about it for today. Are there any final thoughts you had? Any words of advice, especially for people who actually do want to heal, with whatever they're healing from?
Just eat real food. That's
Nice.
it. That's the
Nice.
one common theme. Just eat, whether you decide to not eat animals or eat animals, just eat food from nature, from the ground or from an animal.
Nice.
That's the best thing you can do for your health.
Cool. I love that. I know, are you familiar with Dr. McDougall at all? Vegan doctor?
Sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah. He's just like big on starch. And I was listening to an interview with him. He has a ton of interviews on YouTube. He has a ton of material on YouTube. But yeah, he's all about like a starch-based diet. And he would love that you said eat real food, eat whole foods, and he would appreciate that. So yeah. But anyways, Collin, dude, thanks so much for coming on. I had a heck of a talk. We'll definitely have to do this again, and hopefully AJ will be here. Awesome. Well, thank you, my man. Anyways, guys, this was episode 16 of our podcast. What an awesome discussion / interview. I had a great time. It was great. All I got to say is stay up, be great, and always keep it 100.
Love it.
Thanks, Collin.
Yeah. Thanks.